What is going on YouTube? It is your boy ThunderBuddy29 here, and yep, I am back today with another video. As Fortnite Chapter 4 officially comes to a close tomorrow and Chapter 5 will begin, and today is the last day of the Fortnite OG season, today I just want to give my final thoughts of Fortnite Chapter 4 as it's about to come to a close. Now before I begin, I just want to say, as y'all know, my entire channel is still demonetized, which I am not being paid anything for the content that I'm still currently producing, which hopefully that'll change in a couple weeks. But in the meantime, the best thing that you can do to show your love and support to me is to smash that like button down below, subscribe, share this with your friends, and hit that bell so you'll never miss another video. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. Alright folks, so just to get right into this video, Chapter 4 was actually not that good. I was actually pretty disappointed in Chapter 4. But why is that the case? Why did I not enjoy Chapter 4 as I should have? Well, for a few main reasons. Like starting off with number 1, there was no live events at all, which makes this the only chapter in Fortnite history to not have a single live event. And in my opinion, this was probably Fortnite's biggest strength. Even during its worst possible times, the number one thing that they always did a great job with was the storyline, and especially their live events that went along with the storyline. And let me tell you, there were many opportunities throughout Chapter 4 that they could have made a live event of some sort, but they just never did it. Maybe it was because they were still shooken up by that disastrous Chapter 3 finale. But that's something that's probably going to remain a mystery. And on top of that, there was no LTMs either. And that's another thing too that Fortnite has always done a great job with. All they were doing throughout nearly the entire chapter was relying on Creative 2.0. Which really did not help them in the end though. And this will lead me to reason number 2, and that is, this chapter was extremely lazy. And the best prime example of this chapter being lazy was during the seasonal and holiday events. Like that god-awful summer event that we had back in July. That event itself was a complete fucking joke. I mean, this is all we had to show for it. Was a tiny square in the middle of a jungle with giant spray paints of Meowscles and Peely. Unlike last year's summer event, you had the entire map decorated summer themed, you had water skiing area, and you even had a stage area and so on. But this year's summer event, you had nothing. The Halloween event was almost exactly the same as it was during the previous 2 years. And like what I just said a minute ago, there was also no limited time modes, and there was no live events either. I'm not gonna lie to you, there were some moments in Chapter 4 that were good then and there. These seasons had strong starts. People were hyped and excited for them. I was even hyped and excited for them. But the one thing that Fortnite struggled to do continuously throughout Chapter 4 was keep and maintain that same hype and excitement that people had in the beginning of the seasons. And what I mean by that is after the first few weeks or after the first month of the season, they would pretty much just give up on it and add little to no content for the rest of the season. The best prime examples, this happened during Chapter 4 Season 3 and Chapter 4 Season 4 and Season 2 to a certain extent. Like for example, once again this takes us back to Chapter 4 Season 3, which was arguably the worst season in Chapter 4 and one of the top worst Fortnite seasons of all time. When people were complaining about the lack of mobility during that season, so many people were demanding Epic to address that problem, but they did not fix it until the very end of the season. And whenever they decided to add in an update half the time, they were during like the most pointless times anyway. Like at the end of Chapter 4 Season 2, they took the snipers out on the final week of the season and didn't add them back in until Season 3. And even during the Fortnite OG season, they took out planes and replaced them with dirt bikes on the last 2 days. Like, what was the point of even doing that? Why couldn't they just keep those items in until the end of the seasons when they're just going to be taken out or replaced anyway? And half of this chapter's major updates were also crossovers, and that's going to take me to reason number 3, and that is Fortnite has lost a lot of their creativity. Like, I don't mind crossovers being in this game, but the only time when it becomes a problem is when you have their crossover and their overpowered mythic on top of that. And that's what's happened a lot throughout nearly all of Chapter 4. Like for example, Chapter 4 Season 1, you had My Hero Academia, Deku Smash. And then you had Dragon Ball Z return for a second time. You had their mythics on top of that. And then Chapter 4 Season 2, you had the Attack on Titan mythics. And then Chapter 4 Season 3, You had the Cybertron cannon from Optimus Prime, and Bender's ray gun from Futurama. Like, it just proves how desperate Fortnite had gotten time and time again throughout Chapter 4. And most of the Battle Pass skins were shit. The only ones that were good most of the time were crossover skins. And the Fortnite OG season was the first Battle Pass to not have a crossover since Chapter 2 Season 1. Fortnite is literally scrambling to do anything in an attempt to save their game. And that's going to take me to the fourth and final reason, and that is the Epic Games September scandals. Now, don't get me wrong. September was a very bad month for Fortnite, and a very critical one at best. Because as we all know, the Chief Creative Officer at Epic, also known as the mastermind of the entire Fortnite storyline, Donald Mustard, had announced his retirement and had officially stepped down from his position, which put Fortnite in a very bad spot. But that was just the beginning. As the month went on, things would go from bad to worse. You had thousands of Epic Games employees get laid off, and at the end of the month, they announced they were going to raise the price of V-Bucks. Nearly the entire Fortnite community just snapped. At that very moment, they announced that. It had pushed a lot of people over the edge, and it was the angriest the Fortnite community had ever been in a very long time. It had gotten so bad to the point that everyone was turning against Epic Games for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people were pissed off about Epic Games raising the price of V-Bucks, firing thousands of employees, and of course, the lack of creativity and little to no content throughout most of Chapter 4. This is just a very small handful of tweets that were posted around that time. Even former Epic Games employees turned against him. But eventually things would calm down after Fortnite announced they were bringing back the Chapter 1 map. Now, this is something that's still currently up for debate. I mean, whether if this was for the sole intention to distract everybody from the scandals that happened in September, whether if it was for that or not, either way, whatever their plan was, it worked. It brought back more than 100 million active players, the highest active Fortnite player count since 2020. And the only thing Fortnite really had to do was not make one big mistake, which unfortunately they did in the middle of it, by trying to censor skins that were not quote-unquote kid-friendly. This had once again pushed the Fortnite community over the edge, and the same anger that the Fortnite community had back in September came back again. And it had gotten so bad to the point that 3 days after Fortnite announced this change, they had reversed the decision and took it out of the game. Now, it was good that Fortnite did that, but the question was, who the hell actually thought that this was going to be a good idea? You pay money for a Fortnite skin just for them to censor it. Like, who in the actual fuck thought that would have been a good idea? And who actually thought that people were just going to sit there and take it like good little boys? Well, certainly the Fortnite community didn't, and honestly, good for them. And I'm actually glad that they took a stand against that. But overall, my final conclusion of this chapter, it was nothing but a huge mega disaster. If it was not for the Fortnite OG season at the end of it, this chapter would have been a bigger catastrophe than it was. And some people are going to ask me, what could have made this chapter better? Well, here are some things, like number 1, focus on the issues that actually matter the most. Number 2, get rid of skill-based matchmaking. And number 3, it's okay to have crossovers in your game, but do not force their overpowered mythics into the game and make it last an entire season. Number 4, add more content, especially for your seasonal and holiday events. And number 5, bring back limited time modes and live events. And this chapter should definitely send a message, not just to the Fortnite community, but to Epic Games as well. This is what happens when you make Fortnite chapters last 1 year. And this is the true consequence of yearly chapters, because they just get more worse than the last. I thought Chapter 4 would be better than Chapter 3, but I couldn't have been any more wrong. And another thing that could have made this chapter better was if they actually had more time to work on it, like instead of putting all their minds and resources in preparation for Chapter 5 like they did in the second half, if they would have just had more time to work on this chapter, and if they did not just give up on the first month of the season's launch, it could have been good, or at least better than what we had originally gotten. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I am not that confident or excited for Chapter 5 as most people are. I mean, I'm still excited to see what they have to offer, but at the same time, I'm not getting my hopes up. I just hope they do not repeat the same mistakes in Chapter 5 as they did in Chapter 4. I hope they learn their lessons, and I hope they learn from their mistakes in Chapter 4. And I hope they do not repeat them again in Chapter 5. But we will know soon enough. But anyways, what do you guys think of Chapter 4? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you guys enjoyed or agree with this video, smash that like button down below, subscribe, share this with your friends, and hit that bell so you will never miss another video. Follow me on Twitter/X. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the support and patience you've been giving me. You all are the best, as we are now closing in on 6,700 subscribers. I love you all to death, and thank you all for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more. And until next time, I will see you all in the next video, either tonight or tomorrow. And this is ThunderBuddy29, signing off.